Did the Western Roman Empire fall because of Christianity? The answer to that is no. That was not the reason. Um, usually the reasoning that people give for to blame Christianity is that Roman Christians do not like to fight. They don't like to kill other people, and barbarians, on the other hand, they are willing to kill other people. Um, but that doesn't make any sense. So, for example, for us to be able to blame Christianity, we need to connect the events that happened during the fall of Rome with Christianity. So, for example, we are talking about the sack of Rome of 410, the sack of Rome of 455, uh, the death of Valentinian, the loss of Roman Africa. If we want to blame Christianity, then we need to ask, did Christianity affect or contributed to all of this stuff that happened during the fall of Rome? And the answer to me is obviously no, it didn't. For example, in the sack of Rome of 410, did Rome get sacked by Alaric because Christian Romans were not willing to kill Alaric or to kill the Goths? The answer is no. That is not the reason. If anything, probably the Romans did wanted to do that. Um, but no, that didn't happen because of that. It happened because Honorius didn't want to pay the Goths for the military service that they gave, and then the Goths did what they did best, which is go and take what they were owed, which it was which pretty much it was money. Um, but the Goths were trying to negotiate, but Honorius was very unwilling to do that. He didn't want to negotiate with Alaric, and that ultimately led to the sack of Rome. They did try to fight the Goths, but again, it is difficult to explain that all of the events that happened between Alaric sacking Rome and Honorius telling them or saying that he's not going to pay, it is too short of a time for Romans to mobilize. So it makes sense that that the Romans wouldn't be able to pretty much get ready or be ready to fight off the Goths. But whatever. Another thing that we can ask is, did Christianity contributed to the sack of Rome in 455? And the answer is no, it didn't. It didn't. How? How it contributed? So the sack of Rome of 455 is pretty much simple. After Emperor Valentinian died, there was another emperor who, pretty much claimed himself to be emperor. I don't remember his name. I think that he is Petronius Maximus, if I remember correctly. It doesn't really matter. He's killed within 2 months, so he's irrelevant. But he takes the ex-wife of the dead Emperor Valentinian, and he forcibly marries her, and then he marries his son to the daughter of the dead Emperor Valentinian. The thing is that daughter was meant to get married with the Vandals, or with a family member of the Vandals. So that is a no for the Vandals. And then the wife of the dead Emperor Valentinian, she asked for help. Like, hey, is this guy, this Petronius Maximus, just declared himself emperor, and he forcibly make me marry him. Hey, Vandals, can you come on and help me out here? And that's what the Vandals do. So the sack of Rome of 455 has nothing to do with Christianity. What about the loss of Africa? Was Africa lost because of Christianity? The answer is no. Africa was not lost because of Christianity. I forget the exact year, but probably is 427. 427, I think. Around that time, Galla Placidia, the empress, pretty much the empress of the Western Roman Empire, declares Bonifacius an enemy of the state, and Bonifacius didn't want to die. He didn't want to be executed. But of course, he only controlled Africa, so he didn't have enough Roman troops. So he asked help from the Vandals. Hey, Vandals, can you come over, help me out? If you do that, then we can make a deal where, you will control I'll give you some land in Africa. And the Vandals accept. They move into Africa. Then Galla Placidia didn't like that. Galla Placidia pardons Bonifacius. Bonifacius tried to fight off the Vandals, but they couldn't fight off the Vandals, and the Vandals end up taking Africa, Roman Africa. So, did Christianity contribute to the loss of Africa? Obviously not, it didn't. So I could keep going with more examples, but I think that more examples are pretty much useless. It is obvious that Christianity has nothing to do with the fall of the Western Roman Empire. I think historians know that. I think that they accept that the fall of Rome was for many different reasons. The only two maybe reasonable arguments that I can make where Christianity contributed to the fall of Rome are in two instances. One of them is early on. So early on, there was a conspiracy with the son of Stilicho. Stilicho was a military man. He was the most powerful military man. And the conspiracy was that his son was a closet pagan. So the son of Stilicho is a closet pagan. And that conspiracy pretty much justify or contributed to the death of Stilicho. And the death of Stilicho contributed to the sack of Rome in 410, for example, because Stilicho wanted to pay Alaric the money for the military services, but Honorius and the Roman government didn't want to do that. So pretty much that conspiracy, we could argue that conspiracy, which it was a Christian conspiracy, contributed to the death of Stilicho, which contributed to the sack of Rome, which ultimately contributed to the Visigoths taking a region of France which is Aquitania. And the reason that is the case is because the Visigoths captured Galla Placidia, the sister of Emperor Honorius, and then the Visigoths asked Honorius, if you want your sister back, then you need to give us some land, and that's what Honorius does. So ultimately, that conspiracy contributed to the to the Visigoths taking some land in Aquitania, what is southern France today. So you could argue that, but again, along the way there were so many other decisions that they have nothing to do with Christianity, that there's an argument to be made for that particular screw up. Another reason that we can add to the fall of Rome when it comes to Christianity is that the Visigoths were Arian Christians. Meanwhile, the Romans were, I don't want to say Catholic Christians, because I'm not sure if that is the particular sect that you will call them at that particular time, but I think that it doesn't really matter. So there was a division between the two people, between the Visigoths and the Romans when it comes to religion. That is similar to the division that we can find between Catholics, modern Catholics, and Protestants, for example. And that division made them not really mingle with each other. And we could argue that that's why they were very reluctant to deal with each other in ways that it would be more amicable, or that it will be more friendly to each other. So that religious division maybe contributed to this friction between the Visigoths and the Romans. But that is something that I don't have to. I cannot come up with any examples to support that idea, because it is not like there is no historians that I think they say something along the lines of Honorius didn't want to deal with the Visigoths because they were Arian Christians, or something along those lines. So if that was the case, then this religious division within Christianity would be that it will contribute to the fall of Rome. But that is not the case. We don't know that. We know that the difference exists. We know that the difference was there, but nothing more. To conclude, did Christianity contribute to the fall of Rome? And the answer is no, it didn't. And basically, to show that that's the case, then you need to find examples where that is the case. And frankly, I have tried to come up with examples, and the only two things that I can come up with is related to the death of Stilicho, and maybe with this division between Arian Christians with just a sect of Christianity and Catholic Christians back then. I'm not sure if they were be called Catholic, but yeah, whatever. This is not a religious class video, so or something like that. So those are the only two things that I can come up with that may have contributed, that are related to Christianity.